I haven't read much of Trans News Network, but they did have this article that my dear friend Benjamin sent to me. So I want to read through this. I saw this around, but I didn't even flag it to read yesterday. So now we're going to course correct on that. Burritos. Yay, Trans News Network is great. I feel violated. Queer creators lose livelihoods in itch.io bans by Mira Lazine. The recent itch bans on queer and SFW content have damaged careers and put countless people out of work. Though some are now on the verge of homelessness, they're still organizing and fighting back. TNN, oh my god, wait. Remember Tiny News Network?
Anna, I am on vacation. Let me know if you want to hang out and play games or something. Burritos.
Burrito. This is your new boss, baby. Thank you, Raven. I love you. You're my goodest girl. So, I think it was Homer that invented Tiny News Network. The news network I repeatedly terrorized as a giant woman. Because I am a giant woman. But TNN is in fact Trans News Network's like abbreviation. That's so funny. I'm your Oshi. Aw. No way. Stop. I can't make it anymore. I'm so sad. Maybe Tiny News Network was Trans News Network. Who knows? TNN delves into what's at stake on the front lines of the fight against anti-queer censorship. Oh, they used to be MaddyCast News. Okay. On July 23rd, media hosting platform itch.io began systematically delisting and in some cases removing hundreds of LGBTQ and/or adult video games, tabletop RPGs, written stories, and works of art from their storefront. This occurred overnight after Australian anti-porn and anti-LGBTQ group Collective Shout pressured payment processors Visa and MasterCard to push itch to purge such content from their website. This caused immediate mass damage. The Trans Feminine Review, who broke the story, reported that many users were initially unable to access payments they had already received, and the immediacy of this push wreaked confusion over what games and developers were being impacted. The situation was so chaotic, PC Gamer had to issue a correction earlier this week on a story interviewing several developers, as even they found themselves unable to confirm what games were impacted. In Trans Feminine Review's initial story, itch gave no comment on why this was done or the scale of the impact. These bans are not entirely unanticipated. In 2021, journalist Anna Valens, oh my god, that's me, reported on this very type of problem, warning it could eventually affect itch given similar prior attacks on gaming hosting sites like Steam. On July 20th, PC Gamer reported that Collective Shout was already planning to target numerous websites, with itch just one of many. That's true. At the time of the PC Gamer article's publication, the only statement given by itch's team was through a single saluting emoji posted by the founder on the community Discord. On July 24th, itch finally released a public statement. They justified the lack of notice as having to, quote, act urgently to protect the platform's core payment infrastructure. Unfortunately, this meant it was not realistic to provide creators with advance notice before making this change. Itch apologized for this quote-unquote abruptness, adding that they are auditing the website when not re-index pages that they deemed as violating their policies while they implemented new quote-unquote compliance measures. They additionally said that, quote, for NSFW pages, this will include a new step where creators must confirm that their content is allowable under the policies of the respective payment processors linked to their account, with an additional notice that some pages will be, quote, permanently removed. This statement revealed that every single adult game would be de-indexed from the storefront. While Collective Shout denies involvement in pushing the removal of all adult content, alleging they only advocated removing games with tags they disliked, itch nevertheless maintains that they were pressured to de-index all adult content. I do think that it's true that Collective Shout at the time wasn't pushing for the removal of all adult content, but they were eventually going to push for the removal of all adult content. I think it's also true that payment processors, and I mean this in the more general sense, like banks, credit card networks, literal payment gateways, and the literal payment processors themselves. I think one or more folks in that equation did ultimately use Collective Shout as like the middle person to pull the trigger on like these bans. So I think it's just important to note that like, and I'm not saying this because there's anything specifically wrong with the article, but I'm just saying this for you guys' context. I think it's especially important to note that like it's very obvious to me that a lot of folks get caught up on Collective Shout when Collective Shout just found like they found someone who was going to use them as like a convenient like punching bag, essentially. Like Collective Shout actually has been like, I think sometimes folks focus on Collective Shout and they miss that like the payment processors also just kind of wanted to do this, you know. Like this is really like Collective Shout was like phase 1 of this issue. What's going on with MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, and Stripe and their banking partners is phase 2. So like at some point, like we should always continue to pay attention to Collective Shout and what the fuck they're doing, because they're, you know, they're swerfs and they're anti-sex workers and stuff. But like it's important to keep the eye on the price. What's going on? It is not that MasterCard and Visa wouldn't have made these decisions save for Collective Shout. It's not for Collective Shout. It's this was something they were going to do. They were eventually going to do it. They were just looking for when and how to do it. That's what I would say. Itch. Who's up with their itch? Why can't you do TNN anymore? It's because of the Trans News Network and Tiny News Network. Yeah, similar acronym. Corpos were in line set for Project 2025, yeah. Who's up with their itchy? Itchy-o. What if they invented like an NB whose pronouns were it, she, and o? It, she, o. You would just be itchy-o. Alright. The left only has one joke? No, we just invented a second additional joke. A second joke has hit the towers. Okay, we really only have one joke. The statement revealed that every single adult game would be... Oh, I read that. Immediately, both itch creators and fans began to mobilize in response. Sorry, one sec. I goofed. Immediately, both itch creators and fans began to mobilize in response. Users launched viral campaigns to bombard Visa and MasterCard's customer support lines with calls and protests. Users shared any updates that they had about new means of contacting payment processors, with many giving detailed strategy guides on how to best call and protest to get an effective response. These users reported that for multiple days, these customer service lines were overwhelmed and that workers said they were told by management not to talk to the public about these bans. Polygon reported that this amounted to the boycott stalling entire customer service lines on non-stop lengthy holds in an effort to get payment processors to reverse course. Please don't forget to call. This push has already had some positive effects. The founder of Itch, known as Leaf, revealed that the most effective target for protest is the payment processor Stripe. Leaf, in an addendum to the statement, suggested that there are ongoing negotiations with both Stripe and PayPal, especially to try and maintain what content remains on the site. According to Valens, that's me. The continued pressure on Visa has had demonstrable effects through their customer service employees. Activists report being screamed at by customer service reps, having insults like quote-unquote rapist hurled at them. That was a real thing that happened. And employees even alleging that callers may be engaging with illegal content. As many in the replies to Valens' post said, this is a sign to both keep going while also maintaining some compassion for overworked call center employees who are likely facing harassment from management. Currently, it isn't clear what direction things will go. Trans News Network reached out to Itch, Visa, and MasterCard for comment. None replied before publication. In a statement to Trans News Network, Stripe declared Stripe has a policy against commenting on users. Generally speaking, we take action when we conclude that users violate our terms of service. We do not support adult content. Trans News Network replied, urging a better response that addresses users' needs, and has not received an additional reply. Following the statement, users revealed how to put pressure on Stripe through public information. Payment processors are continuing to raise more escalations. Valens reported that, according to an insider of game studio Riot Games, MasterCard is pushing them to censor any instances of negative talk about the company and any context affiliated with the site. But signs are emerging that the protests are working, though payment processors still deny that public pressure is having an effect. One Reddit user claimed to receive an emailed response from Visa that said, as a global company, we follow the laws and regulations everywhere we do business. While we explicitly prohibit illegal activity on our network, we are equally committed to protecting legal commerce. If a transaction is legal, our policy is to process the transaction. We do not make moral judgments on legal purchases made by customers. I'm having like Vietnam War like trauma flashbacks. Just speaking that statement out loud. I've heard it so many times over the past couple weeks. Visa. Oh no, here's the other half. Visa does not moderate content sold by merchants, nor do we have visibility into the specific goods or services sold when we process, a transaction. When a legally operating merchant faces an elevated risk of illegal activity, we require enhanced safeguards for the bank supporting those merchants. Let me catch up with chat really quickly. Off topic, but have you heard of the fairly new lesbian anime, There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover Unless? I've been meaning to watch it. I heard it's really good. I heard it's based in epic. My opportunity to pull that joke is rising. Oh, Anna, seeing an edit to prior meme pic. Not sure if you're going to discuss it today, but I had to do it. Post it. That one's pretty good. I forgot to even talk about the fact that Nazi Miku's back. What happened to you was completely deserved. Okay. That anime, There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover Unless, has come up a few times because a frequent chatter box brings it up frequently when she's in chat. So true. That's okay, Gossip Girl. Somehow, Nazi Miku has returned. Visa does not moderate... Visa does not moderate content sold by merchants, nor do we have visibility into the specific goods or services sold when we process a transaction. When a legally operating merchant faces an elevated risk of illegal activity, we require enhanced safeguards for the bank supporting those merchants. MasterCard released a similar statement publicly on their website. MasterCard has not evaluated any game or required restrictions, of any activity on game career sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. Our payment network follows standards based on the rule of law. Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. I'm going to skip this part because we've all seen the MasterCard statement. Regardless of the position payment processors in each take, it is undeniable that an immense amount of damage has been done to independent creators. Trans News Network talked to over 24 game developers, artists, and writers about their experiences with the itch ban and how it affected them. The result was an overwhelming consensus of the fear that these bans will have as they grow in severity and affect more walks of life. We're not safe here. This is a really good article, by the way. In the immediate days after, creators have found themselves at a loss of what to do. Game developer Crispy Cat, also known as Butterfly Latte, reports that her NSFW game demo known as The Seventh Bride, was de-indexed and is only shown when specifically searched for. It wasn't just this game, either. On a whim, I tried to search up my safe for work games as well. Wendy, Warm, like Seafoam. These games are fairly innocent and wholesome. Warm and Wendy star children. However, they don't appear in the suggestions either. I suspect it's because they're Yuri games. Who could have predicted this? Who could have predicted this? Oh. Can't stay, but I want to stop in and say hi. Hi, Jace. Hi. I think she comes here slowly to promote it. Literally. Oh yeah, the Monster Girl Mermaid Yuri. I remember reading that one. I liked it a lot. The hardcore one. Ew, Big Valens. Who's up with their Big Valens? Hi, Matt Hermit. I gotta do a VR chat China stream this week. It's been too long, chat. I gotta also use all the cool stuff you all gave me. Life's been so crazy. I haven't even put together like the mod mic and the fucking like little pad for my Quest Pro. She recounted, describing a genre of fiction which depicts romance between two female characters and has no inherent sexual elements. This is something that I'm actually going to highlight quickly. I want to read through all this, but this is particularly bad. Wow, this is a good article. Describing, Yuri. I'm concerned that my audience will be severely cut. I'm already having to search for other places to release this particular game, and I'm worrying where I will be able to release future projects as well. She was not the only developer reported the company singling out Yuri content. developer Blood Machine, who primarily does both NSFW and SFW Yuri content, reports that one of her games called Girl Purgatorium was taken off the site completely. While re-uploaded on her personal website, she still finds herself severely affected. It's uncertain if I can take out collected funds out of Itch at all. Uncertain how safe my next game will be to release. Another TTRPG I did art for is quite hard to publish on Itch now as well. Almost more... Oh, there's like a little spider crawling on my mic. It's like a little tiny. Oh my god, it's so cute. Oh my god, there's like a little spider crawling on my mic. Oh, how'd you get there? How'd you get there? How'd you get there, you little thing? Oh, it's so cute. He's just crawling around. He fell on me. I don't know where he went, guys. I don't know where he went. Oh, I hope I didn't kill it. This is what it'd actually be like if I was a giant in real life. I'd be like, oh, you're so cute. You're just like, uh-oh. I don't... Oh. I really hope I didn't kill it. Oh. I was just lightly tapping the mic window. I don't even know where he went. Oh. 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 No, I'm really sad. God, I guess we just found out what kind of giantess I would be. I would be like, oh no, I accidentally stepped on you. No, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to step on you. It went into the spider dimension. Oh, okay. I'm actually like, unless they're like roaches, I actually really do not like to kill bugs. Like, I really just like to let them be. Like, unless they cause a risk to your house. Like, I'm very anti, like, killing things. I really believe in, like, trying to, like, maintain the sanctity of life across, like, types. Oh, no, there he is. Oh, there you are. Oh, you're back. You're okay. Okay, but I do need to get you off the mic. Oh, he's just running around. It's so cute. Oh. Oh. That's so cute. Well, there you go. Muppet? Yeah, my little spider Muppet. He's just a little spider. I have like a spider in the house and I think it had eggs. I think that's why. I never get rid of spiders because they deal with bugs too. From the spider's paw, you are a giantess? Yeah. Little Muppet. Okay. Anyway, where was I? No. Wait, let me look up something really quickly. Red spiders. Spider mites. Plant feeding mite. I don't think it's a mite. I don't think it's that kind of spider. It is a red spider. But I think it's like a baby. Little tiny red one. Yeah, we are so off trail. Where were we? Yeah, probably a house spider. That's what I was thinking. Cause I had like an older spider hanging out in my room. Like I still got the nest up. She fell in my arm and I accidentally flicked her, and then she probably gave birth like because of that. And then like we've had like I've been finding like a baby here and there now and then. What shade of red is it? It's like blood red. Ooh, so there's a blood red spider. No, not like that. It's got stripes. It's like a dark red. And I can name the skeletons in our tummy sands. So true. What's a chigger spider? No, it's not one of these. It's not one of these at all. No. I think it's just like a normal ass house spider. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. There's definitely people in chat who have arachnophobia. Yeah, this is a pro spider space though. Cute little spider just crawling around, hanging out. Are there red stripes on the legs? No, on the body. On the body. Let's see. Where'd he go? Where'd you go, little spider? No, he's in God's realm now. You can post horses to make it even. Well, Anna, you impregnate her if you're bare hand flicking what? Imagine if she was actually like a little like spider girl. Like she was just a little spider girl hanging out. She's like, hi, Anna. I love your stream. And I was like, oh my God, and smushed her. Or ate her or something. Horses make this lewd, says Homer. All right, where was I? We are so off track. I was looking up spiders. Umazume must be really rough for you, real. Okay. Where was it? Girl Purgatorium was taken off the site completely. While re-uploaded on her personal website, she still finds herself severely affected. It's uncertain if I can take out collected funds out of itch at all. Uncertain how safe my next game will be to release. Another TTRPG I did art for is quite hard to publish on itch now as well. Also, most of my friends make games and had at least one in progress or published project affected. Blood Machine also does commissions for both 2D and 3D art, which she notes is also at risk if the censorship escalates further. Since the commissions are very much tied to game dev, often released on itch, it affects me quite directly there as well as putting me at risk with accepting payments at all potentially, since I accept a lot of commissions that are NSFW in nature. Damn, I gotta work with Blood Machine. Developer Tony, aka Story in Pieces, who the writer of this article, I'm sorry, let me move this, previously interviewed and play tested a game for, develops primarily lesbian erotic horror homebrew Game Boy games. She similarly reports seeing a substantial drop in attention and income from this ban. I'm going to say really quickly, does it have a bulbous, also known as concrete mites? They're not baby black widows, as some people believe. Okay, wait. No, not like these. Not like these, no. Not like those. It's like a dark. Oh, I was replying to Link, not you. Oh, okay. I want to say really quickly about this piece. A lot of the devs that are being interviewed already are folks that might not normally get interviewed by the mainstream press. Like, I don't really think of Blood Machine as the sort of dev that would get interviewed by, like, games journalists. I like this piece a lot. This is pretty good. This is a pretty good piece of journalism. And especially, like, highlighting, like, queer and trans devs. Develops primarily lesbian erotic horror homebrew Game Boy games. Yeah, this stuff, like, never gets covered by the mainstream press at all. They always, like, when they think of, like, queer games, they almost always think of, like, ew, visual novel. She similarly reports seeing a substantial drop in attention and income from this ban. My most popular games, and the only ones that I consistently earn any money or opportunities from, have been delisted from itch's store. They can't be searched directly on the site or found through browsing anymore.
It's real cool that TNN is based now and changed their content to stop slandering you for eating tinies.
So true. Yeah, it is Blood Machine. They can't be searched directly on the site or found through browsing anymore. So even after the initial push of support and downloading from people over the ban, my overall traffic has sunk, Tony said. Itch's new terms about what content is permitted has put community funding bundles into chaos, too, and could mean I won't even see the previous payout I'm still waiting on. She said that this is her only consistent source of funding. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm moving too fast. She said that this is her only consistent source of funding, and so her future revenue is impacted severely. In addition, her ability to sell physical goods is at risk. I was hoping to sell physical cartridges of my games in future, as well as little things like stickers, but there's even less places to sell physical goods from NSFW materials than the digital ones I already struggle to find a host for and sell. She added an important concern that if other sites like Patreon will also begin cracking down on queer content. Between this and the new worry that places like Patreon will follow suit and shut NSFW creators out entirely, the impact seems to be coming from what feels like all sides. Excuse me, I'm drinking Celsius. The impact this has had on some developers is particularly severe. A game developer known as Maddie May, also known as Milk Boy, reports that 2 of her projects have been de-indexed, including one that's strictly safe for work. This impacted her views, with the days following seeing a significant dip, and discouraged her from working on future projects. More significantly, this may also make her homeless. I have no other means to support myself currently. Itch made me a little bit of money, but it already wasn't a lot, May said. Me and my girlfriend have been on the verge of homelessness for a while, and we survived completely on her income. I'm fortunate enough to have a place to live and a partner who makes enough to support what I do, but we just barely scrape by. Itch helped ease that struggle, if only a bit. Another game developer, Taylor McHugh, focuses on video games about her experience as a trans woman. While she's been out of game development for a couple of years, she was notified out of the blue as a journalist reached out to her about her games being de-indexed. I am an older millennial queer, and I remember the feeling of loneliness and the void of just not having anything like me in what I played. I got to see Itch become a renaissance of queer works and community. I viewed it as an art movement and a potential future that I was part of, she recounted. Since my game has been de-indexed, I don't know what to think. The pessimistic part of me knew this day would come, but I didn't think it would come so soon. When it did come, I thought Itch would at least email me or something. On the first day, my view count and downloads spiked with people downloading the game and playing it one last time before it potentially vanished. Some people commented on the game as if it were doomed, and I just didn't know how to respond. Developers outside of the United States are just as affected. Tangled Virus, a game developer from Brazil who was previously interviewed by this article's author, creates a variety of visual novels on Itch, only some of which are NSFW, they report being severely affected by this. All of my adult visual novels were de-indexed. I did change the tags on them, and they are now back to being listed, but some still aren't, they said. I have a Patreon, but like most of my income was from the games on Itch, and the adult ones were the ones that made the most cash. One Brazilian developer who works the Wet Floor Games team and who requested anonymity for safety reports that the de-indexing of their games resulted in a loss of thousands of views and dozens of downloads. According to statistics they shared, as of July 23rd, their games received around 5,000 views a day. After they were de-indexed, they rarely got over 1,000 views a day. Video game developers aren't the only ones affected by this either. Dorian, a member of the House of Black Roses plural collective, writes poetry and erotic novella hosted on Itch. One of their most popular works, an erotic short story collection, was de-indexed from search pages, prompting them to take down the rest of their works in fear of further retaliation. This ban essentially removes Itch as a viable place for us to share work and build community. It's also been a hit to our feelings of relative safety in terms of finances and overall ability to build up something that allowed us a bit of freedom, they said, adding that this is one of their sole sources of income as a disabled collective. Given that so many places use them as payment processors, their policies do run the risk of impacting us virtually anywhere we might try to establish ourselves, they continued. Policies like this really make it difficult to do one of the few things we can consistently handle doing as any form of job. A writer known as Wormwood in What's a Napakala, a trans man who does erotic short horror stories, reports that all of his work, aside from a rough draft of a novel, quote, have been shadow banned. 3 of his pieces, including a free one, quote, have been removed. Astrid, a queer author, I am enjoying this post, thank you. Astrid, why did I say that? Astrid, a queer author. Hi, Silver dude. Why did I say that? It just kind of popped out. It just kind of popped out. Astrid, a queer author, reports that they host... I think I know Astrid. Let me double check. Or maybe I don't, but that's an easy follow. Astrid, a queer author, reports that they host entirely safe for work stories on Itch. Nothing explicit, nothing sexual. I didn't even know how it happened. It's just my book, which is actually a pre-order, but was searchable before. It's no longer searchable. You have to go in and find it with a direct link, they said. So far, it hasn't entirely hurt me, but I feel like if it doesn't get resolved by the time it gets released in a few months, then it could. But not being able to find it's kind of scary. Another writer who goes by both D and Tormented Artifacts primarily works on safe for work queer cosmic horror. She describes how none of her works have anything in them that violates the itch adult content rules, and yet we're still de-indexed. I'm getting 0 sales now from the platform that was my biggest sale leader for the last 3 months. This is about a third of my income gone. While she has additional income through her work in leatherwork and as a tattoo artist based, the bans are still a severe hit. It's becoming clear far-right actors are going to be driving us off of social media for existing as trans. Wow, that's like very fitting for today. And the social media and internet is where I make my living. And the social media and internet is where I make a living. Can't do it in person anymore. It's not just about the ability to have a life via having an income. It's also a long-term impact on your quality of life, she said. The people I network and talk to keep myself sane are online. They're all over the world. I think for a lot of trans people these days, living especially online is like kind of real. Like that's kind of the vibe right now. Living on the internet. Talia, another writer and also a tabletop game developer, saw one of her works entirely de-indexed because of a single sex scene and for being tagged adult. They just quietly removed our visibility of our works overnight without any warning. That's compliance in advance. We're not safe here. She has no other storefronts where she can sell her products, save for Patreon, as the continued worries of pressure from Stripe and PayPal eats at her. She currently has no other means of supporting herself. Artists are just as impacted. Dusky, an artist and writer, was working on launching a large queer NSFW webcomic. They were going to put it up on itch for a small fee with additional means of support through Patreon. I had started arranging my stuff to be formatted to post on itch, and I've been working on it for the past couple of months. Then this happened. While their content was going to contain adult themes and sexual content, they emphasized it wasn't porn, but a larger narrative. I'm angry. I feel violated. I feel a sense of despair. What do I do? I've been preparing to do it this way, and now I've got to finally change gears, figure out how to reorganize my stuff, figure out how I'm going to monetize it. Dusky brought up a similar sense of anxiety as others, that other services like Patreon would fall. So if I'm somebody who is targeting people for specific reasons, then my next target would of course be Patreon. So even with the lifeline of Patreon being there, I'm not confident anymore. I think it's really important to note. That everyone kind of feels like Patreon's going to get hit next, and it is very inevitable that Patreon will get hit like pretty soon. It's just a matter of when and how, you know. All right, a lifeline for queer creatives. One user who organized a bundle, a group of discounted games purchasable in a collection for queer adult media, and requested anonymity to avoid targeting, reports that games in their bundle, alongside many others, are being completely taken down by users out of fear of having their livelihood stripped. These bundles are a lifeline for queer creatives, and now they're basically off the table. A lot of adult material is usually in these bundles, they said, while adding that the community was nevertheless banding together in the face of this growing adversity, still holding hope for the future. Taylor McHugh mentioned still having some hope for itch specifically. I got more donations in one day than I usually get in 2 weeks, like $90 versus maybe $5. It felt weird seeing that much money come in since I didn't know and still don't know if itch will actually let me withdraw that money. It was a weird feeling. Since then, my view count has plummeted back down to lower than it was before. I haven't done a lot with my life, but the games I made are one of the few things I was proud of that made me feel like I mattered beyond just being an insignificant speck in the universe. It made me feel like people cared, she added. With the way itch is now, I have been rushing to create archives through archive.org and self-hosting. I've asked people to help keep my games alive by sharing them, but ultimately, I'm not a company. I don't know how the people who liked my last games will be able to find anything new I make. It's just really sad, she concluded. I guess the fucked up thing is, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, is that I never thought I'd have my own experiences with sexual trauma and sex work de-indexed in the name of protecting women, quote unquote. I'm afraid that if this keeps up, there won't be any place to talk about being fucked up, abused, or just anything negative. I think that's accurate. I think that's where the internet and a lot of what these people are trying to do. Like, you can't talk about being abused. Wormwood was planning on launching a storefront to help support himself and is anxious about the impact these bans will have on his work. While his main job isn't affected, he nevertheless has been focusing on expanding his reach and making connections in the community through this. I'm worried about how it's going to impact my shop once it opens and how I'm going to market myself, because having everything on itch and in bundles with other creatives got my work into the public eye in a way that I didn't ever expect. Let me catch up with chat a little bit because I want to talk about Toxic Yuri Game Jam as well. Who's up bending their knee? There's so much knee bending. It's crazy. Did it have red bands? You stick bugged me! 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 Oh, my own mod! My own mod! My own mod stick bugged me! You stick bugged me! I trusted you! I trusted you! No! Ugh. What a lead up. You might have forgotten that you posted that 11 minutes ago. Itch handled this worse than the blue site and they didn't handle it well either. Absolutely filthy. Oh my god, my chat's making fun of me. I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. I got stick bugged. I got fucking stick buggoed. They've been pushing the needle themselves for years. Definitely first was non-con, then CNC, then Hypno, and SFW artist offer I follow. I mentioned that on Patreon. There's a list of no words. You cannot say the word sucked. Who's up sucking? She was in fact chomping at the bit for you to find it. I fucking got stick bugged. I'm crying. I'm crying. The worst part was watching in OBS all of the responses coming in at once. Like I felt like a fucking like a Nico moment. In that moment, I felt fucking dirty. I felt like I got fat fucking L for Anna Valens over here. Wow, week of L's. We're reading some articles regarding the payment processor censorship situation. Trump is against it, which feels like a W. The article had a pop-up asking, enjoying the article, and I just said out loud, yes, I am. Yeah, Patreon will bend the knee. So true. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the pop-up asking me if I'm enjoying the article and just saying, yes, I am. Thank you. I am. It's a good article. Patreon will bend the knee. They absolutely will. And they will. It's coming. It's coming. So many stick bugs. So many stick bugs. We all got stick bugged. I can't believe this. Who would win? 25-meter giants that can eat you or a single stick bug GIF? Evidently the GIF. The GIF won. This giantess May girl got cooked so hard. It's over for me. I got destroyed. Oh, I got clipped too. It's over. It's over. It's over. I can't show my face around ENVTube anymore. I got stick bug. Okay. Oh yeah. Some creators report that an entire game jam or collection of games developed in a short period to build community was affected. The Toxic Yuri Game Jam, consisting of over 200 different games, saw significant hits with over half of the games delisted and several being completely removed from the site. One user known as Castle describes how a joke game they made was delisted squarely for having the tag erotic. Wait, hold on a second. Are you kidding me? No one wrote about this? This is awful. Are you kidding me? Oh, this is awful. Bro, my games journalism is a mess. Oh, Anna, what about that one article over here from Vice? That's me. That's me. I wrote that one. Oh, this is bad, guys. This is bad. This should have been okay. Major fat fucking L for so many games journalists. This should have been all over the place on Blue Sky. It's insane that games journalists missed this. Thank God that Trans News Network exists, dude. Because I knew something was up with Toxic Yuri Game Jam, but I got the impression no one wanted to touch it. Because, you know, it's a game jam about, like, girls, like, being toxic to each other, you know? Like, aka why, like, queer art matters. Not for the soft, ew, like, oh, coffee shop AU, but, like, also, like, that stuff is obviously important in its own way. But, like, also, like, allowing for queer women to talk about, like, I got fucked up by another woman, I'm gonna eroticize it, you know? Dude, my games journalism is cooked. The fact that no one talked about this. Cooked. Fucking cooked. I'm so mad, dude. Guys, this is why I complain about games journalism and the state of it. This is okay. The fact that this specific angle with this much level of detail was really not done by any mainstream major games journalist outlet is really damning of the games journalism industry, and also really spectacular of Trans News Network. Like, they have officially, like, I'm officially a fan of the work that they do. This is a really good article. Benjanoon sent this one to me. I'm so glad she did. Fat W for Benjanoon. Holy shit. Like, this should have been at, like, front page at, like, I don't know, like, fucking, like, all over the place, dude. Such a damning indication of where games journalism is right now. Dude, Aftermath should have written this, too, you know? Like, such a damning indication. Fat W for Mira. Mira, you're officially based as fuck. Oh my god. Toxic Yuri Game Jam's iconic. It's so based. The team behind Toxic Yuri Game Jam, I interviewed a couple of the, like, two of the folks in Toxic Yuri Game Jam for Vice, and that game jam is so fucking based. It's so fucking based. W Mira Lazine. So true. Mira, this is really good work from Mira. Mira did an excellent job on this. Oh my gosh. She did such an excellent job. Such an excellent job. Okay. There's still a lot more to it. Oh my gosh. She did a fantastic job. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, Toxic Yuri Game Jam. A certain journalist, when queer people are being silenced, they sleep. That same journalist, when journalist makes less than them, wow, time to subtweet. Dude, I'm already... don't make me fight a two-front war between waifu wares and Gita. Don't make me. Don't make me. Don't make me, chat. Oh my god. Don't make me. Don't make it happen again. Don't make it happen again. Yeah, don't. Raven was the one that said it. I was just reading Raven's chat. I was just reading Raven's chat message. I was just acknowledging the context. I don't want a repeat of like a month ago. That was like such a clusterfuck. Chat, how do I ban the streamer? I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that. Okay. Ban me first. Yeah, Raven out here, like, trying to get me in so much trouble. Your goodest girl statement has, like, title has been downgraded to good girl. I liked it, how I loved it. Water under the bridge. What happened now? We don't need to talk about it. You're temporarily been demoted to just good girl, Raven. I didn't read anything about what happened with Toxic Yuri Game Jam until now. I am shocked that not a single games journalism outlet talked about this. This is really damning. This is really damning. They mention how this jam was filled with first-time developers and how the occurrence of these bans led to mass panic, watching a happy community turn into people feeling completely doomed. I've done a bunch of these game jams, so I'm giving them advice. And then I'm looking at all this, and it's just, what do I even say? This is a pretty bad situation. I can't pretend that this is good. This isn't a wonderful thing we can all survive. It's pretty rough, I feel bad for everyone, especially because it's their first wave of censorship. A separate developer known as Sayers, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name, describes how our team's game Contamination Protocol was made for lesbians as a quote-unquote weird alien bug sex game based. Something created by her community for fun. Her game, like many others, were de-indexed for having adult content. But notably, she points out that games tagged with incest, often games made by developers exploring their own trauma, were immediately removed from the site entirely. It's worth noting that incest games were also targeted last year, if I recall correctly. I think it was everything that was specifically tagged with incest was like fully delisted from the platform. So that has obviously kind of thrown a lot of the jam into a little bit of chaos. Like this. I'm sorry, but this is actually... Syscon reigns supreme. I love how they said, like, so obviously, like, okay, obviously what's happening is really fucked up, but I just, fat W for my Syscon, like, Yuri fans. Like, we are eating good, though. Like, this Syscon Yuri goes strong. I love my Syscon Yuri devs. Syscon Yuri devs, Toxic Yuri devs, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. I am in your corner. I am your biggest advocate. Girls, fictional girls, should be kissing and fucking their fictional sisters as long as everyone's an adult. I had to add a lot of qualifiers so I wouldn't get canceled. No wonder why Waifu Wares didn't want to work with me. I can try to contact with some Spanish journalists. She was one of the few that talk about it here in Spain. It's a wonderful article. Definitely do it. Definitely do it. Let me post this article. Mods, can we pin it? I do seriously appreciate how much this article emphasizing the shit that was a work in progress. The fear so much of us felt feeling uncertain on if it's even worth it to release our work. Maidenwrath and I were working on a... Okay. So I kind of wanted to, I don't want to talk about too much of this because it's still work in progress, but last year I wrote a series of short stories that are CNC games, like very specifically like consensual non-consent games. Like the theme is like all the stories are role plays and part of a larger AU with like a rotating cast of characters, and they're all the characters are engaging in like role plays that are read by the player that are like literal consensual non-consent. And it had a lot of themes that I think would be targeted under this Itch.io ban. And I always assumed like even by the time that, or these Itch.io kind of changes in payment processing and this is de-indexing. And I always assumed like I would have a hard time getting that game up on Itch.io because I kind of knew that like Itch.io was getting more censorious because of payment processor stuff. But there's an ARG in the game that I was going to build into it, and I'm really nervous, like, how do I even build the ARG for that game now? Because some of the stuff being targeted under this Itch.io ban, I might not even be able to do an ARG. Like, it's just really sad. I don't know. I'm excited. Maidenwrath's been very busy, so it's been hard to get kind of all the art together. But the character design is, like, almost done. And we'll probably start releasing some of the stories soon. Because it's gonna be illustrated with like 1 to 2 illustrations per story. But yeah, it just makes me really sad. Like I just feel like I want to create more of my queer like games, and like I too am affected by this. Like I still need to go on to Itch.io and look if my games were impacted. No, not the art. You're making a game? I've made a lot of games that are like, I made like a Giannis game. I made like several BDSM games. They're all like Twine games, but still. This one was going to be like kind of like a visual novel, but like kind of like a little bit of like kind of like a ebook visual novel. Kind of hard to explain with an ARG attached. I think it was everything that was specifically tagged with incest was like fully delisted from the platform. So that has obviously kind of thrown a lot of the jam into a little bit of chaos, she said. All the judges have said, you know, everything's still going to keep going. We have all the games, but there are a couple games that were only hosted on the web. There are no like direct downloads to them. That's especially tough. That's really rough. She detailed that while there are games being shared in a small torrents, oh, that's actually so base, so community members can play them. This is hardly a permanent solution, and it certainly can't help developers get off the ground. She also gave statistics for her game's performance. Prior to the ban, it received around 71 views. Afterwards, it received only 7. That's really depressing. I think a lot of what's depressing about this stuff is like it's a deplatforming, so it's literally people's art is just not being viewed at the extent it could have. It's just really sad. While she isn't relying on this game to survive, owing to its free nature, many developers in the jam do rely on game development income full-time. She also mentions that she, quote, wouldn't be surprised if this reach just continues to expand, quote, but adds that she just wants to help people push back on this. Another user, known as Fisher, describes how it was one of the people who helped describes how it was one of the people who helped discover the bands to begin with. And noticed that one of the games in the jam wasn't indexed, knowing that was previously, quote, someone in the Toxic Yuri game jam server started talking to me about game indexing, and noticed how it seemed like a lot of games weren't searchable. I checked and found that my own game, which had been previously indexed, no longer was. Everyone is disrupted now. People are in a rush to make their own websites, host their games, and some people have even had payouts frozen if their games were suspended. Palette, another game developer in the jam, saw her works delisted as well. Itch's ban got my visual novel delisted just weeks after finishing it, which was really, really sucky. The real tragedy is that to me, is my sisters and inspiration, the authors that got me into this scene. I'm not dependent on my art like a lot of them are, but also more selfishly, I'm upset they're harder to find or completely gone. I've never really been into the more sexual aspects of their work specifically. I rate it for the plot, but unironically, but the stories, the characters, the art matters to me. She Was Swallowed by the Sun by Snek RK is a work that's really important to me because of its story, its world, its characters, its themes of resisting fascism and anger at a world that hates you, and it's delisted now, she said. Emmeline, also known as PLTN, is a developer focusing on visual novels and who also participate in the jam. She details how a big point of this game is to write about, quote, women in unhealthy relationships with space for those who want to explore risque content that often leads to 18+ markings. I find having that element of freedom and creative expression can be liberating. She gave concise but harrowing words about the impact the ban had on her. As a result of the ban, I and thousands of other developers have had our work turned invisible, and in some cases, taken off the site outright. The effects of the bans came without warning, and many creators who rely on itch as a source of income are left scrambling to figure out what their options are. I have to consider if I want to self-censor, find other more niche platforms to host sensitive art on, or be erased. Another developer, known as Pingo, is a disabled game dev who creates both safe for work and NSFW visual novels, often around subverting the gender binary based. He emphasized how, both before and after the ban was initiated, there was a strong and kind community among all the folk within, even while making games with topics that payment processors deemed unsavory. The only game I currently have on itch, though I am making another game currently that I hope to have done by September, is the demo of Seams and Senses, the game I made for the Toxic Yuri, Wait. Made for... Is that Toxic Yuri Game Jam? TYVJ? I think maybe. He said of his game. It's a character-driven game that shows neurodivergent queer characters as they try to survive both a capitalist world that doesn't care about their needs and maladaptive behaviors they themselves have formed over time. I made and am continuing to make this game, out of love for myself and for others who may struggle with similar issues, has a lot of intimate and raw feelings inside. The characters are toxic in generally grounded ways despite the weird designs and settings, and I'd like it if people could feel seen through them, he continued. If people felt less alone and more accepting of their thoughts and feelings, it is the first piece of media I've made to actively involve sex without any hiding or skirting around it. Let me catch up with chat. Yeah, I have a number of games. I'm not sure how they've been affected by the Itch.io situation. Damn, these NSFW games have points about society. These games are art and tell stories about struggles and political things. Anna, who could have told us about this? Whoa! Whoa! Yeah, if only there was some base journalist at some outlet who's planning to highlight works like this. Wow. It's almost as if that was the original plan. Wow. It's almost like that's what I wanted to do at Vice and they didn't let me, and now I'm very sad because like maybe I could have supported all these developers if like a based as fuck like owner of Vice let me do my job that I announced that I was going to do on day one, and then they're like, oh my god, this thing that we specifically hired you to do, you're not gonna do anymore. It's fucking dumbasses. Dumb doo-doo heads. Dumb doo-doo heads. That's what they are, chat. They're dumb doo-doo heads. Dumb doo heads. I think I have a non-disparage clause in my freelance agreement, so I'm not even sure if I can technically call them dumb doo-doo heads. Food of Fridays morning. Somebody get it? I didn't write it like this, but I do admittedly find it really funny when people are like, Fuda Fridays are over. Like, I didn't write it like that, but it's a really funny phrase. Fuda Fridays are over. No more Fuda Fridays. NSFW games are culturally significant that tackle all sorts of themes, and sometimes those themes are gooning over girls. Real. I love gooning over girls. Anna, if you get a job at TNN, I will die laughing until I should ask if you could read for them. Imagine getting canned because your article went #1 across all of Reddit. Crazy. I love how like people across the political spectrum are like, Anna Valens did journalism and got fired for it. Like, even people that think I'm a bad journalist are like, she did a good journalism and got fired for it. Like, first of all, I didn't get fired for it. I left. But also after they left, they tried to fire me anyway. So maybe I did get fired. I don't know. It was so funny because I was like, I'm going to quit if you pull the article. And I was like, okay, I quit. And then my boss's boss is like, let's not take Anna's contributions anymore. And it was like, well, that's not a concern because she already quit. That's basically how the conversation went down. It's so fucking funny. Speaking of which, if you like the work I do, don't forget to hit up that throne link. Don't forget to hit up that tip link. And don't forget to hit a follow. Send a follow and send a sub my way. One of the best things you can do besides tipping is, in fact, hitting that sub button, seeing if you have a Prime sub to give me. Yummy, yummy, yummy. If you have a tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 you can give me, or just stick around. You might get a sub gifted to you. No, Gossip Girl, no. This needs to go on YouTube later. We cannot do this. Ah! Anna, have you added a mouse with a good scroll wheel to your throne yet? I need to figure out what's going on with the scroll wheel for my 2 Logitech Pros wirelesses that I've gone through. So I might add that to my throne. I think I need to fix it. Raven is going to get me like canceled, dude. That was a good burp. Wow, that felt great to get out. It's from eating all the tiny girls last night. I mean, what? Huh? What? What? 1 second, I'm gonna check my DMs. Delicious Twitter DMs. Who said that? Frankly, my comment should be deleted. It's too late now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just got some really good art. Oh my god. I just got some really good art. I'm not gonna lie. It looks so good. I can't show it on stream, but it looks really good. It looks really good. Okay. I can't show it on stream, but I'll post it later. It looks really fucking good. Okay. Where was I? There we go. Love to receive and view good art. That's what I'm saying. Okay. He had hoped that developing on itch would allow him to grow an audience, yet his game was de-indexed, only accessible through direct links. It felt worthwhile and like I might be able to make an income for myself, but now I don't know. I guess I'm just going to see what happens. I know a lot of people disagree with these policy changes and with payment processors being so controlling, so hopefully things change. I would love to be able to connect with people who enjoy my work without it being a secret passed around in whispered queer circles. Slitherbop, another developer, described how the game he developed, Rain Joke, was completely removed from the storefront entirely. It feels like this is really sad and scary and frustrating that people are no longer allowed to even be near these topics. I already felt extremely limited in expression due to social pressure. It's fucked up that even now that I felt comfortable enough to not care, there's suddenly increasingly less and less places to share it anyways. It makes me worry about the future of art and information in general. I worry that there is going to be so many games that were on itch that are just going to be lost to time and forgotten about because of this. They should get to exist too. I want art to persist so bad, especially the queer and horny and visceral ones. He has since listed the game on his personal website after seeing the perseverance within the community. While he still has anxiety over other sites like Coffee removing NSFW content, he continues nevertheless. He added that his community gave him hope to start developing this type of work to begin with. Seeing what the Jam Runners had previously I'm sorry, I'm moving way too fast. What the jam runners had previously made and what other people were making for the jam was really motivating and made me feel like, whoa, people won't kill me for what I want to express in my story. A first-time developer who requested anonymity for safety saw that the game they submitted to the jam was delisted. I'm honestly crushed. I thought I'd found a safe place to post art about topics of queerness and kink that are important to me, but it seems that was a futile hope, they said, adding that their game is nearly impossible to discover outside of a single listing. Yet they describe immense support from the community in response. Overwhelmingly, the Jam's community has been full of kind, mature, and passionate people who are eager to make all sorts of art. Folks in the server were incredibly happy to help one another through code debugging, writer's block, illustration, or just to offer each other encouragement, and many have stuck. A more resistant future. The Wet Floor Games developer reported pausing all game development. The reason to build a new website as an alternative to itch. That project is still in early stages, but they were already considering it prior to these bans. I think it's telling, by the way, that a lot of folks, I'm not sure if, I'm going to have to read to see whether this is specifically like an alternative to itch or just Wet Floor Games having their own website. I think it's really telling, though, that all of us have decided, like, the new play is we all create our own websites. Like, I have my own website that serves as my ASMR database, right? Like, it's that kind of situation. Like, it's really telling that that's what's going on now. I just introduced you to my spouse over my shoulder. They said happy birthday 3 days ago. Ooh. Aw. Hi, spouse. Thanks again for this amazing stream. It is my pleasure, and there's still more to go. Thank you for the follow, Bomb Doesn't Stream. Maybe you'll stream one day. But also, I once got promoted to typing class because I just key smashed in the program we were using because I only have 3 minutes until class was over. My accuracy was abysmal, but still fast enough to just be promoted to the hard mode of the program. That's why you're good at that burp mode? Oh, I sent a message like a second before. Oh, okay. I get it now. When is Miku Water coming? I have to see. Amazon, I think, has to ship it. I'll put a gaming mouse that I want on my throne though, because I do want like a new Logitech mouse or something. I need to look at ones that are more dust proof. I think like my scroll wheel is getting dust caught in it or something. I'm not sure. For starters, itch doesn't support Pix, Brazilian public payment system, which other game devs here in Brazil were vocal about as it's a big deal for us, they said. Pix is pretty resistant to censorship. I don't know too much about Pix, but I know it's good. On top of that, I felt itch's periods of instability and being offline were way too frequent, which made me afraid of solely relying on it to host our games, and more broadly, afraid for the wider indie game community for also being very reliant on it. So even though I never made a website before, I started researching and asking around to put stuff into motion, but nothing concrete. Then the NSFW de-indexing happened, and it really sealed the deal for me to focus on this project, they continued. I understand, quote, make a better storefront, quote, doesn't address the root causes of this issue we're facing, but I feel it can do some good for the indie game development community in the meantime. I feel like the model I've come up with will make it resistant to future content bans than itch was. I'm interested in what exactly they're cooking up. I'll look into it later. Still, this project is in its very early stages, and they emphasize that this is all still very tentative. That makes sense. Nevertheless, they, quote, find the investment necessary, not just for my own games, but for the good of the community. I am interested in what they're going to do, although I think creating alternatives is really hard. Like, every platform seems to have this inevitable future. This developer isn't the only one considering going independent. Fisher mentioned having concerns about hosting future game jams and having to develop a separate site. I'd planned to host the Ero Horror Jam from September to mid-October and the Riona Jam from January to mid-February, it said. The games that would be made for these jams now fall outside the rules of what itch would allow, so I now need to go through the process of making my own website to host the jam on outside of itch. Pengo described how his lack of options forced him into a sort of activism against payment processors for this. Sorry, I'm moving too fast again. I feel like I will never be able to support myself through my work if what I want to create is barred from monetization unless it is scrubbed clean of any sort of queerness or adult content. I'm under disability in part because it is believed I cannot hold a regular job either. So what's next for me? I don't really know. Like I said, I'm just kind of seeing what happens. Calling, sending emails, doing a little I can to support, but ultimately just seeing what happens. The Toxic Yuri first-time developers described how the community created a sort of underground network in response to these bans. Since itch's announcement and changes in policy, many folks in the Jam community have been working to pull together all of the Jam games into a large zip file, or make their own personal websites to host their work, they continued. Folks are working hard to preserve what they've made, but sadly direct downloads and private websites just don't have the reach that a site and itch's incredibly trafficked public listings do. This is a huge issue, the fundamental factor of organic reach. And you can create your own website, but how do you get people to access your website? If you don't have a platform, it's very hard. Even myself, who has a platform, my ASMR website is not significantly well trafficked. I would say like it gets like a couple thousand clicks a week, which is not a lot compared to like a couple thousand from like YouTube alone in 1 week. They added on one video in 1 week, you know. They add an important note that the community should not abandon what the public deems quote unquote evil games. I've seen lots of reporters and news sources softball this topic, saying things like, well, they did get rid of a bunch of really evil porn games, but some innocent queer ones got hit too, which means it is bad. And frankly, as a queer creator, I find that attitude incredibly demeaning. Not just is this true, I think it's homophobic. That's such an important take. There's no reason to cede ground and pick and choose what evil games are. Even art I personally hate deserves to exist. Cis straight NSFW game makers are getting hit hard by payment processors too. And now is the time for solidarity rather than division and infighting. Freedom of expression means freedom of expression. And that includes things that might be gross, uncomfortable, or even criminal in reality, because fiction doesn't have significant bearing on reality. This is a good reason why the indie queer press is so important, because stuff like this is not going to get quoted by like It's not going to quote it in like Aftermath or PC Gamer or things like that. Like it's just not going to be quoted unless there's like the rare like base journalist working at those websites that's gonna quote something like this. Otherwise they're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's good, the rape games got pulled, when it's like, bro, like some of the rape games are in Toxic Yuri Game Jam. Like, you know, it's like shit that like I'm making. Like, you know, the game I'm making could be called like a rape game because like it has literal consensual non-consent where everyone's agreeing to like engage in like non-con roleplay, like the characters themselves, you know. So I pivoted into nachos. I like nachos. Brazil mentioned. Woo! I did earn a job for my WPM, but that was years ago. Ooh. Throne is recommending to buy you Grand Blue Fantasy Relink by Xseed Games. Do you have any use for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink by Xseed Games? Probably not. But if you just want to buy me stuff because you like me, then you can do that. Yeah, well. If the law passed, even self-hosted sites will need to do ID check shit. Yeah. Really hope we can get a decentralized internet after all this. Tell me about it. It does exist. It's just usually like chuds tend to use that stuff. Secret of Nim 2 deserves to exist. So true. Your kink is not my kink, but deserves to have media to fulfill you, and that's okay. Literally true. If you want to grind Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, I got you. Ooh. Who's up with their grandest of blues? Top 10 blue grands. Okay. This is really good. This is really good. They add, if I can play Call of Duty and gun down airport full of civilians, why can't I buy a game that even dares to talk about incest? That's a good point. Slitherbop feels the community response to this is nevertheless reason for optimism. A thought I would see in the Toxic Yuri VN server that I feel too is that this is motivating to want to keep making transgressive art and go hard with it. I agree. It's been awesome to see what people still working on their things. I hope we all keep making the art we want to make no matter what. Censorship as another weapon against the marginalized is absolutely unacceptable. Adult fiction, especially including taboo topics banned by itch like rape or incest, is important to defend no matter how quote-unquote gross it may seem. For many, it is a way to process trauma that they've previously survived. For others, it's a way to explore complicated themes that are designed to help others who have borne witness to these events in real life. This content is not made to harm survivors, it is made to help and inform them. Additionally, the quote-unquote think of the children excuse blindly ignores how this content is already inaccessible to children and neglects a single unifying fact to all of these works. They are entirely fictional. No hierarchical body, especially not those controlling the sole means many have to pay their bills and stay alive, should have control over what media people produce and why. Unequivocally, no one is harmed by the production of fictional content involving taboo topics, and no one should have the right to regulate it. Of course, this content is not for everyone, and that is why tags exist in the first place, to help users ignore content they don't wish to see. This does not mean corporations or the state should have the right to ban it. At the same time, fascist figureheads are pushing far-right content repeatedly without any such pushback or prohibition from the same companies censoring queer works. Attempts are repeatedly made by bigots to normalize fascism, to treat bigotry as if it's acceptable or funny, all the while pushing marginalized groups out of the very spaces they founded. This is deliberate, as the erasure of queer people involves the resurgence of a hyper-conservative social morality that leads to broad social exclusion. The solution is simple. We must universally stand with those who are oppressed by those in power, and we must remove fascists from our spaces with every bit of effort we have. We have to stand with the freaks, those most glossed over in our communities, or they will come for us next. If we do not stand with those who are producing works considered fringe by society, then we will all be next in line, and eventually there will be no one left to speak for us. The only way forward is liberation from censorship, poverty, and bigotry for all of us, not just a few. This is a really good article. Like, this is really, really good. I'm gonna share this on Blue Sky like literally in a minute. This was published on Saturday, and I really regret not reading it until now. This is really good, and I feel like one of the more urgent stories that's been under discussed. Really, really excellent work from Mira. I'm gonna go share this like right now. Yeah, just great stuff from Mira. Really good. I'm gonna like go share like literally right now. You know, it's just I'm like, Mom, I'm doing this. I'm like sharing right now. It's sad that this is not an article that is published by the mainstream press either. That this kind of like full-throated defense of like, you know, the evil games, quote unquote, is never going to come out of the mainstream press. The respectability politics of it all. No, 1 sec. I'm sharing it right now. All right, there we go. Yeah, Mira Lazine did a great job. Let me go post her, Blue Sky. Anna Silent Arc. I was locked in, chat. I was locked in. Great article. Great article. Great article. Wow. Chat, I helped Anna identify a rare breed of spider. Fuck you. Fuck you, Yuri. I love you so much, but fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Those gosh darn video games are turning kids into submissive breedable prey. God dang. I'm gonna make them go lick them right up. Yummy, 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 yummy. That was a good article. Wait. The R-word games can help, as in not the slur, can help victims confront the essay in a safe place so they can get over trauma. Who could have said that? I wonder what all those studies that said that exact same thing. Huh? Who would have thought? Oh, bro. It is really I'm gonna retweet my spider clip ban it. You know I will. Okay, let's take a little look at Aftermath. That's like let's look at like their latest stories. Do they have like a all stories mode? Okay, here we go. Let's take a quick look at Aftermath. Okay, recommending books is the best part of Tiny Bookshop. Let's remember some good video game boats. Good for Digital Foundry. Of course, I put my PC on the floor. What am I, an idiot? I spend a lot of time in my real life trying to find the perfect seat. Oh, I do like Nicole. Wait, are we not all keeping our PCs on top of our desks? That is pretty funny. I love the game that Guardians of the Galaxy almost is. Oh no, Merge Maestro is going to be a problem.
Anna, I'm gonna say stop, don't start beef. Please.
Wooden Cup and Ball Toy, a review. Eddington is a compelling COVID drama until it isn't. The shonen manga right now is about a niche performance artist fall from grace. Let's see, Labubu to Lafufu and Roger is a short moving game about family. IGN lays off 8 staff. John Cena's heel turn sucked. Gabe Newell bought a yacht. With a boat and some help, you can read Moby Dick in a day. You have to hear Chris Plant's sandwich story. Death Stranding 2 is a joyful, absurd response to COVID. Board game company fucks around, announcing new Harry Potter game, finds out. Bucket list. Dopamine simply doesn't work like that. Inside the mass call campaign to stop video game censorship. So, shout outs to Nathan for covering this. I remember when this dropped. But it's been like 11 days, right? Wait, okay, hold on a second. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm really good at counting. 8, 9, 10, 11. It's been 12 days. It's been nearly a week. Why is there no more coverage on this on that site? You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm talking about. With like the leftist writers and like content creators, they gotta get out there and go. Like, there is more work to do on this issue, you know. And it's like not just them. But, like, I will show you, like, also, like, if I search up, like, MasterCard Steam, like, everything that pops up is now, like, there a Polygon article from 5 days ago, Game Industry Biz from a week ago, PC Gamer from a week ago, The Guardian from 2 weeks ago, Eurogamer from 6 days ago. Guys, like, this stuff is ongoing. Like, it's still, like, okay. Like, Itch.io. Everything's, like, from 5 days ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. Something that's like Itch.io but like not involving any of this. Like, most of the stuff is like from a couple of days ago now, and it's like, yeah, it was just a weekend, whatever, and we're halfway through Monday. Like, there's still more time, but this published over the weekend, and this stuff is like actively affecting people right now. Like, this is actively affecting the next 12 months of people's lives right now. Like, people need to wake up and stay on top of this in the media class and the content creation class. Like, this should be the number one thing you think about as a journalist, as a writer, as a streamer doing games, as a content creator doing games. You should be waking up and thinking, what the fuck do I need to talk about today about MasterCard and Visa? Because this is apocalyptic, folks. This is apocalyptic. The moment that if MasterCard and Visa and PayPal and Stripe win this thing, it is going to have significant ramifications for video games as a form of art. And the ability for us to freely discuss anything in the industry that is sensitive or taboo. Every single writer, content creator, journalist, no matter what you do in the game media sphere, should be talking about this. Everyone. Every single person. There is nothing more important right now. Nothing. This is the most important issue. Period. Are you going to retweet my spider clip, Anna? I will. Atlantic. Treating PTSD of the Oculus Rift. Did they go to like a VR chat sex club? And I'm gonna say, don't start beef, please. I have to, okay. This is not beef. This is not beef. This is pointing out an issue that is I've been pointing out on Blue Sky on Twitter, and that needs to be addressed. This is an all hands on deck 5 alarm fire situation. Content creators and journalists need to step up. This is not just one outlet. This is not just one place. Especially on the left, they've got to step up. They've got to cook on this issue. The fact that this kind of discussion could only happen through Trans News Network, a queer journalism site, and that like they in a lot of ways are breaking this story. Like, I am very proud of them, and I'm so glad that they did this. This is an excellent story. But these headlines like this should be front and center news everywhere. And I don't just mean the little bit like queer creators might be affected. I mean like we spoke to 20 different queer creators impacted, and here's what happened. I've only seen one other site do something like that, and it's The Verge. And that's because it's Ash Parish. And that's it. That's it. People gotta step up. Did stream die? I don't think so. Me when VR chat sex club wouldn't fix my PTSD, but it would fix me real. Like Ash has been on top of this shit. Ash is doing a really good job. Okay, like what's a smut peller do these days? Or like what else? Itch has begun restoring NSFW content, but only if it's free. And I know, like, Ashley, one of the first things she did was sit down and say the chaos confusion of Itch.io and Steam's adult game ban. Like, she has been on top of this shit. Another person that's really done a great job is Megan Farokmanesh. I should know how to pronounce her last name because she's a friend of a friend. But Megan has done a fantastic job staying on top of this issue as well. I think... Okay, here we go. Right. Age verification of sleeping gaming. Is it ready for the AI for the age of AI fakes? Itch.io is restoring NSFW games as long as they're free. Gamers are furious about the censorship of NSFW games and they're fighting back. Steam and Itch.io are pulling porn games. Critics say it's a slippery slope to more censorship. Megan has done a fantastic job of covering this issue. Megan and Ash, in particular, two really strong writers covering this stuff. But a lot of people, one article and they're kind of done. Or they really are just not getting involved. And like, I gotta stress, like this, I am really stressing everyone here. This is definitely the sort of situation where it's definitely call everyone that's in the above, right? Everyone in the four above, right? Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Stripe, hit up those URLs in the above and call those companies all four at least once a day. But also it is really important to send tips to content creators that you like, to journalists that you like, and remind them like this issue is still ongoing. Tons of people are flooding those call centers, and this is not a story that developed. It is a developing, ongoing story. It is a developing, ongoing story. I do not see a lot of the actual, like, quote-unquote messy queer art creators getting interviewed with game sites. When I was reading that story by TNN, I was just sitting there really angry because I was just realizing the quality of discourse to support and defend the creators creating taboo art, especially those queer and particularly those queer creators. The level of support they're getting from the mainstream games journalism press has dropped significantly, on a significant level. And so they really do need your help. I think also keep an eye out for developers talking about ways to support them. Keep an eye out for artists looking for ways that need like signal boosts for like mutual aid and stuff like that. Please keep an eye out for that stuff. This isn't just about calling people. It's also about supporting each other. We are community. Adult content creators are community, and we look out for each other, okay? But it is also really important for everyone here to still continue to look for ways to get the word out, whether it's hitting up a content creator that you're friends with or, you know, like sending in a tip to like, you know, like Polygon or whatever. Like, definitely, it's so important. It's so important. You definitely tell the LGBTQ journalists from the het journalists in this whole thing. Really, seriously. You can tell, like, the queer journalists and, like, the very, very feminist ones are, like, on top of this one. And then, like, the straight journalists are like, whatever. Yeah. We covered it, though. It's very infuriating.